Good day, fellas. My name is LordPorythion, and today I'm going to talk about the previous adventure trip during the Arcane workshop, about the Void Invasion, which happened 2 weeks ago, and about the new Divinity feature, as well as my progress with my server 66. So stay tuned so that you don't miss out on any kind of information. And I would say let's start with the adventure trip. So the goal in here is to reach at least 110 adventure badges to claim the resource material chest along with 50 arcane crystals. With those 50 arcane crystals you can exchange one of your legendary artifacts, it can be a bad one, with a featured one during the event, which is really good. Ideally, you would want to get to 160 adventure badges, because in there you get 50 more arcane stone, even though you probably won't be able to use those right away, because the second artifact would cost 100 arcane stones, as well as the fusions if you already have enough of the premium artifacts to upgrade those to Stardust and Galactic artifacts and so on. But you can save those over multiple events. Before I start with this picture, I would like to apologize for the bad quality. I wasn't able to take a high quality screenshot on my PC before the event went down, so that one will have to do. Okay, on this battlefield you basically go round to round, start in the middle and go clockwise, and you want to prioritize those 3 adventure badge grids. So we have one on the top right corner, on the lower middle one, and on the left side. Each grid has 3 levels. You start at 1, go to 2 and to 3. If you are at level 3, then you get 4 adventure badges if you land on this grid or if you pass it. So that's an important fact for later. And your goal is just to use every dice you can get, potentially as free-to-play or even with some VIP packages, to be able to just claim as many adventure badges as possible outside of the Arcane workshop. So the Arcane workshop comes around every 3 months. Outside of those, you can just either skip this dice event, as I mentioned before, to claim some diamonds from converted dice, or you can just use as few dice as possible to claim the 110 resource chest, because that one is actually pretty doable. Okay, so as I said, we want to prioritize these adventure badge grids. To do that, we are just rolling the normal red dice. So we just hope to land on there, and as you can see on the top left corner, I had 78 red dice and 1 golden dice before I even started with the event, so before I started to roll the dices. And I actually tested these theories, these strategies with 11 different accounts, so that I will just be able to find the ideal one. So my conclusion is, no matter how good your strategy is, the result can be very different. So my lowest one was 116, I think, and my highest one was 180 as free to play, so that one was really big, although 160 would be enough already. So what I did was just roll the red dice as long as possible, basically, and in certain situations you want to use your golden dice. I put some color frames around the areas which will be important in this case. So let's start with the green one on the left side. In here, if you land on the lower grid with the red dice on it, that's the destiny grid. Basically, if you roll a 1 to 3, you go backwards and don't get any rewards. If you roll 4 to 6, you go along normally, but it doesn't give you any benefit as well. So what you want to do at this grid, you want to use your golden dice to go 6, to go to the next golden dice grid to get another one, so that you always enter with 1 golden dice in a continuous circle. But you only want to do this strategy if your left adventure badge grid is already at level 3. That means if you land on the destiny grid and your left adventure badge grid isn't max level yet, then don't use your golden dice to go 6. Either you want to risk it and you want to use a normal red dice, or you just use your golden dice to go 4 to land on your adventure badge grid. The downside with using a golden dice to go 4 would be that you probably will end up with 0 golden dice and therefore breaking the continuous circle, which will probably lower your total amount. Therefore, usually I only do this one if I have 2 golden dice, somehow ended up with those, and then I go 4 and 2. Otherwise, I will just use a red dice and just hope not to throw a 1 or 3 so that I don't go backwards in the first place. So after you got your adventure badge grid at maximum at level 3, you can just ignore this one and go as far as possible. If you land on any of the grids in the green frame, the left column, then you can just use your golden dice to always go to your golden dice field, even if it's only one step. It's one step more, gets you closer to the next round rewards basically. Besides that, if you somehow happen to trigger a treasure mouse and step on this one again, then your next throw will be doubled and you will claim every single reward where you pass over with that double throw. Therefore, I put an orange frame around the starting area where you can use your golden dice for a treasure mouse. So let's just say I start at the gold coin one in the orange frame, then I can just put in a 6 with my golden dice, times 2 is 12, and I will end up passing the golden dice grid on the top left corner again, ending up with another golden dice, and along the way I will get those adventure badge grids rewards as well. So with those two strategies you can just try to accumulate as many adventure badges as possible. In the first place, you obviously have to get as much dice as possible. So you get 20 from Call of Races, you get 28 from Login, you can buy 30 with diamonds, and in this case you were even able to buy a golden dice in a treasure chest of Teich for 5,000 crystals, along with some other rewards, and therefore this chest was actually worth it in the first place, in my opinion. So as for my 2 accounts, I was only able to claim 50 arcane crystals, unfortunately, but at least I was able to get 1 good premium artifact. I was thinking about skipping this one, but in this case I'm actually using this one actively, therefore I just went for it. So let's just have a look at this artifact and back to our high quality screen right here. On my Spaceblade Apparition, we have the Whispering Crossbow. For this event, this artifact was only obtainable for pay-to-win players, so this is the first time that free-to-play players can get it. Well, mostly there are some events with a 0.2% chance that you get those premium artifacts, but I'm not counting those in the first place. What this artifact does is it gives you a boost in your HP and attack, and the Twist of Fate is a really big one. Whenever dealing damage by a skill or normal attack, deals extra 50% damage against the targets with no less than 50% HP, and the target recovers 30% less HP when receiving HP recovering for 2 rounds. This artifact is great for your heroes that do multiple attacks, that do much damage and so on. It's not suitable in all areas, so for example if I'm fighting in the Void Invasion, I'm going to get into that one a bit later as well, then I usually want to go anti-class. That would mean that any artifact that goes 90% damage against the specific class, because that one is usually way higher in this case. But that's very specific. In all other areas, the Whispering Crossbow is actually quite suitable, as well as in the Ghost Rift, in the Demon, where I tried to move forward. I still didn't manage to move forward, but at least I was able to get more damage on those heroes because they heal themselves very much. And with this artifact, I didn't put it even on my Apparition, I just put it on, I can't remember, any other hero to block their healing basically. And that one helped me to get them almost done, so maybe if I upgrade my heroes a bit more, then I can kill this level completely. Now that we are at it, I'm about to upgrade all my heroes with my divinities with the new feature. I wanted to talk about this one in the first place anyways. So if we just go on any kind of divinity that you have, as mentioned before in my other videos, the usual max limit is 100. If you get some rare materials, the Divinity Stones, so basically the Blazing Universal Souls in this case, then you can upgrade them even further. So If you go into one that isn't upgraded yet, this one says unidentified, then you just click on it, and then you can use your identifier hammers to get some better stats. How does this work? You click on this little plus right here. There you can use your souls. You can just convert those to get some of those hammers. You can actually use any kind, so I would never ever ever use any of those because they are really rare. Even as pay to win, I'm not even sure that's an option in the first place. But right here you can just use those souls I mean. You get those for seasonal rewards from the void mine. You get those from some usages from the summonings. So if we forge divinities in here, you either get a divinity, you get some spirits of ruin, or you get one of these souls, which back then was really useless. I had so many accumulated and I was never able to really use them, but right now they finally have a use again. So I would always save yourself 320 of those, 160 of those, 80 of those, and 40 of those, because that would be a level 100 divinity. In this case I saved myself half, because I'm not going to upgrade any level 1 divinity anytime soon, because I'm busy with this one. And if we look into the season rewards, where do we have it? Right here, then you can see that's exactly the amount I saved. So basically I will get my second half to get the 100%, which I would always keep in storage, just in case. Back to our divinities, you get those hammers. I was able to get, I don't know, 15 or something, and I use those to identify my divinities. Very similar as you converting your hero gems. With your hero gems, those stats can be replaced completely. In this case, they aren't replaced, you will just get different colors. That's really important. So if we go onto one that hasn't been identified yet, you can see you start with 100. That's the color white, that's the normal one, that's the bad one in quotes. There are some more colors. I'm actually not quite sure about the colors yet, and there are some people who claim to know what color codes there are, but as far as I have seen is that there's blue, there is purple, green, red, and maybe even orange. We don't know yet. So those are really rare, the bigger ones, the red one at least. And you want to get at least purple. I would say blue is a bit better, but not that good in the first place. So what does this mean? We have 139.5% fixed attack, therefore the previous fixed attack stat that was in here gets multiplied with that one, with this one, and then that right here is the end result. So that won't be the total stat for your heroes, that would be overpowered, but it will just affect your previous original divinity stats. Therefore, it still makes sense to upgrade those so that this percentage increase gets more effect in the first place. So the shadow one I already showed you. In my hyperspace one I have this one, and in my light one I even got all purple, so that one was really nice. And I think I even went demon, yeah. So that's something you can even do as free to play. That's really nice. Just make sure not to use any souls you might need, because you can't get those manually, so you will have to wait for season rewards if you are running low on those in the first place. Right here you can just put in some divinities to fuse them. This term is a bit misleading in my opinion, because if we look at the rules we can see here that the divinities used will not be consumed. So you will get a new divinity by using two others, but they won't be used in the first place, so they won't disappear. Therefore, if you look at these ones, we can see here there are 6 more divinities. So let's just go into here. There is the Judgment divinity if you have the Scourge hero and Assassin hero divinity in the first place. Keep in mind you have to have those on maximum level, so 140. And to get this as a mid-spender or a free-to-play player, that's incredibly difficult. That's definitely endgame or for whales. So it would be really dope if you have them, but it's almost impossible to get those. So I would say if you happen to have 2 divinities on 140, then you can just use those to fuse. And after you made this one, you can just reset those with diamonds, put it on some others and fuse again. So I guess that would be a possibility, at least in theory. I can't make sure that it works because I don't have any account of those kind of divinities, but that should be a possibility. Now let's have a look on my Hurricane. As mentioned before, I was able to upgrade this one to 16 star, unlocking his 16 star talent. And right now in my current formation, if we just have a look at this one, then we can see that I kind of jumped in power. I was over 18, I'm now under 18 again, but that really depends on how much HP stats you have and so on. I'm really happy with this new setup. I was even able to complete the Gloom Tower depth 8, and I even had, where is it, the backpack bonus, so I get more resources from this one, although I'm weaker in fighting. So that's always a big thing to look out for. If you manage to clear it all, then it's really good, but it will increase your difficulty. I actually wasn't sure if I will be able to complete this one. I had 2 difficult ones. That was this Abyss 3 one, where my healing will be blocked. Let's just have a look. So I wasn't able to use my EXO because she was completely useless. In this case, I was quite happy to have my 16 star Barsock in inventory. I just swapped the sub-heroes for my apparition from Barsock to EXO in this case, and then tried multiple times with different kinds of stats, imprints, gems, artifacts and so on, until I was able to complete it. If you are not able to complete a death 100%, then I would always recommend you to reset this one to a lower depth level so that you are able to complete it fully, because the hero shots will always be the same depending on your backpack buff, but the others will be a bit lower, but it doesn't matter, it's still better to focus these in the first place. And the other one was this one. Usually those killed me like in 1 or 2 moves, that was insane, but I somehow got lucky in here. My problem in here was the reflect damage from Camazos and the CC, so the crowd control from the enemy Soth, and these kind of just annihilated me in a few seconds, but in this particular case I was able to survive it and win this one after all. So that one was quite nice. If I remember correctly, I used the Bugle of Hope on Apparition and used the Whispering Crossbow on my Hurricane, so that I give them a bit of anti-heal and stuff and a bit more damage, just right around a bit, depending on what level you are on. Now we are going to swap to my recording of the Void Invasion. So I made this video recording in the past, so I will just talk about it now a bit. What I did in here, I got lots of information from other players, from my other account, as to what heroes and positioning and skills and getting gems, artifacts, stats and so on are working in the current Void Invasion Stage 7 mutation. Because in here, this one changes every month. Therefore, the same strategies don't work for every single Stage 7. In fact, you almost always have to swap your formations, your heroes, and therefore it doesn't make sense to just explain one-to-one what I did in here. Instead, I'm inviting you yet once again to my Discord server, where we can talk about the current ongoing events, exchange our formations, our ideas, our possible life hacks and so on. I left a link down in the description, so make sure to check it out. And besides that, I'm pretty much done for this video. I will just speed this one a bit up, and I wish you lots of fun watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!
Through a sea of shooting stars, like a rocket to my heart, release me. Reach out from the midnight moon above, like a raging war undone, release me. tried to fight alone. 'Cause sometimes we just don't know that we can do anything together if we just try. And as long as we have our backs whenever our foes come by, this time we will win. This time we'll have to join forces. This time we will win. This time we'll have to join forces. Castles and dragons, the battle begins tonight. Are you with me? This is our kingdom, and we won't run tonight. We are a team. Castles and dragons, the battle begins tonight. Are you with me? This is our kingdom, and we won't run tonight. We are a team. We can do anything together if we just try. And as long as we have our backs whenever our foes come by, this time we will win. This time we'll have to join forces. This time we will win. This time we'll have to join forces. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun